Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Get down! Get down!
Oh! Oh, he got Oh my God, he got oh, he's Gotcha, bitch!
And that was just the start of it. In Los Angeles, on Saturday, I was up till 2 in the morning watching the LA riots take place in real time. The reaction from the left, everyone from Karen Bass to Governor Newsom to elected Democrats in LA, despicable. Beyond belief, despicable. We will get to all of that. Right before the show went on, some news happened. Sad news. I literally said, oh no, when I saw the headline. A giant has passed away. You music lover, Sly Stone has passed away. I immediately, upon seeing the news, reached out to my dear, dear friend and fellow music lover, Curtis Sliwa. Curtis, haven't talked to you in a while. Know you're busy running for mayor of New York. Curtis, how are you?
Not good. Hearing the music of the passing of this musical legend, Sly Stone, has made me cancel my evening schedule for campaigning. I will be sitting Shiva the next 8 days, although obviously the campaign goes on. But you and I have always battled over this. I said Sly and the Family Stone, the greatest group of all time in the genre that you said, oh, no. I couldn't believe it when I would hear you say, oh, no, your favorite more than Sly and the Family Stone was who? Say it again, James Golden. Say it again.
Look here, Curtis, I've been listening to Sly since I was a kid. There's nobody that can dispute that Sly and the Family Stone changed the game in music. If it were not for Sly and the Family Stone, for all of them, for Larry Graham on bass, for the entire group, music as we know it would not be what it is. He changed everything. I remember standing up, and not just the music, his lyrics were incredible. I remember standing up and as part of a speech in junior high school, reading a Sly Stone song. And it influenced everything. He's just one of the most incredible musicians that we have seen in our lifetime. And he changed everything. And not only changed, it was cultural. His impact was so deep culturally that it was, it's hard to put it into words.
Let me just say, James, you mentioned one person who was my favorite, other than Sly in the group, which was Cynthia Robinson. Play that trumpet, Cynthia. She would sing.
Mm-hmm.
She played that trumpet so well. That group was coordinated. I saw them on the Ed Sullivan Show in 1968, and I said, oh, my God, if I die tomorrow and go to heaven, I have seen greatness in performance. That's why I could never understand how you would constantly tell me, oh, Earth, Wind, and Fire. Oh, better than Sly and the Family Stone. I said,
I never said the words better. I said, look, I don't want to even get into a competition because Sly was in a class by himself. And I'm not making it about competition today. I just want to honor Sly and just for what he did. The albums that he did, revolutionary. And Earth, Wind was revolutionary in their own way, too. But all of them took the mantle up from Sly. So I wanted to just have you on to say a few words about it. And while I have you on...
Let me just say one thing, James. It's so appropriate to your opening about the L.A. riots. I spent a lot of time down where they were looting at Broadway and 6 with the L.A. Guardian Angels years ago. And remember, he had that album, There's a Riot
Going On. One of his best albums ever.
You think they're going to be playing that tonight when they take to the streets again to take on the National Guard, the California Highway Patrol, the LAPD, and ICE?
Curtis, you've been on those streets. I haven't been to LA in a few years, but you've been on those streets. What we saw this weekend, number one, what do you think about the response from the officials, Karen Bass? Bear with me, Curtis. Let's just listen to this. Cut to Carlos. This is Karen Bass earlier today on the news, the mayor of Los Angeles.
Now the Los Angeles Mayor, Karen Bass. Hi, Mayor. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi.
Hi. So what are you and
on.
your police force? I know how busy you are preparing for the hours ahead. What are you expecting on that front?
Well, I just have to say that if you dial back time and go to Friday, if immigration raids had not happened here, we would not have the disorder that went on last night. I will tell you that it is peaceful now, but we do not know where and when the next raids will be. That is the concern, because people in the city have a rapid response network. If they see ICE, they go out and they protest. And so it's just a recipe for pandemonium that is completely unnecessary. Nothing was happening here. Los Angeles was peaceful before Friday. When we find out when and where the other raids are going to happen, that will determine how the police respond.
So it is ICE's fault. It's the fault of ICE. It is the fault of those people tasked with enforcing the law that there are problems in Los Angeles. It is the fault of brave men and women who have been sent out on a task to enforce American law. And Californians like Mayor Karen Bass now say they are the ones. LA was peaceful before the ICE agents showed up. What's your response to that, Mr. Sliwa?
What do you mean peaceful? Ramparts, Compton, all these areas where gangbangers rule supreme. It's never peaceful in most areas of L.A. because the gangs rule. The LAPD proved that their leadership abandoned the city. When ICE needed backup, they had to wait 2 hours. 2 hours. The California Highway Patrol, they came in. And then you have the National Guard, they're there. They're doing the job that the LAPD should have been doing from day one, and they're filling the gaps. And when you saw that video, you saw how that crowd took advantage of the LAPD, which was not as intensively enforcing the law as they could have. In fact, the police commissioner admitted that they could not handle the situation. So if you can't handle the situation, move over. Let the California Highway Patrol handle it, and let ICE handle it, in addition with the National Guard that Donald Trump has brought in to tame the situation down.
I'm looking at this scene, Curtis. I'm seeing things that I don't believe. I'm watching people throw literally huge chunks of concrete and boulder-sized rocks down on police who are cowering underneath an overpass. And instead of they finally deployed out and shot some tear gas up and then beat a hasty retreat, left their vehicles there where they were staged. On one half of the highway, it's completely closed because the protesters shut it down, and they were allowed to shut it down. And then on the other half, you've got moving traffic, while up ahead, people are throwing scooters, rocks, concrete blocks, everything down on the heads of these police. And this just goes on and on and on. And this woman sits up and says to the world that ICE is the problem. If ICE had never started raids, we wouldn't have a problem here. Not to mention setting fire to vehicles, not to mention everything else that was going on. Oh, and the news reporting on that. Cut 5, Carlos. Here's 7 News. It's an ABC station out there as you watch these vehicles being lit up, toxic fumes spewing through the air, some celebration of the Green New Deal, that is. And this is what we get from news.
Large group of people. It could turn very volatile if you move law enforcement in there in the wrong way and turn what is just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn into a massive confrontation and altercation between officers and demonstrators.
You believe
Now,
that?
James, we've seen this before. We saw that in New York City during the summer of George Floyd, where Comrade de Blasio, the mayor, gave the orders for the police to stand down. We've seen that in other major American cities, and we've seen that in L.A. many times, where the cops, the LAPD, has been told to stand down. You know the orders had to come from Bass to the police commissioner who serves at her privilege. So he wasn't going to do anything to defy the mayor. And she told the LAPD to stand down. And the crowd could sense that. You notice how the crowd just launched an all-out attack on LAPD. I'm sure if LAPD could do what they were trained to do, they would have fought back, and that crowd would have been repulsed. But once the crowd sensed that the LAPD was going to retreat and that they had no backup yet from California Highway Patrol or from ICE or from the National Guard that was arriving, then it was a field day on the LAPD. And Karen Bass and the police commissioner should be ashamed of themselves. They forced their police department to surrender. And Newsom, oh, my God, he's going to try to ride his way to the White House on an all-migrant ticket. That is, whatever the migrants want, we do for them. For American citizens, just pay your taxes. We'll take care of the migrants at your expense, and their rights supersede your rights, America.
Curtis, look, I want to thank you for joining us. When are you resuming? You said you're going to suspend the campaign tonight in honor of Sly, and God bless you, Curtis, for that. But you got to catch us up on your campaign for mayor, and you got to come back and let's talk more about this L.A. stuff and what's going on in L.A. and Massachusetts and New York, as finally someone is addressing illegal immigration and demanding that the law of the United States be followed.
And in honor of Sly Stone, I'm going to rename my campaign The Mayor for Everyday People.
Boom. Love it. Curtis, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
James Golden, Snerdley with you here.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Smart Water Alkaline with antioxidant. 9.5 plus pH, now in cans.
Refreshing.
Made for every way you move.
Should I run a marathon?
Let's start with finishing that water. Smart Water Alkaline with antioxidant, now in a sleek can. For those with a taste for taste. Grab yours today.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Okay, let me see if I have this leftist logic down. Okay, it is not a takeover of California when illegals flood your state. It is not a takeover of California when people fly other flags and burn the American flag, right? No, it is not a takeover when radicals are attacking federal agents and stopping them from doing their job. But when the president sends in the National Guard to make sure that things stay safe, make sure that the federal agents can do their job, that's the takeover of California. Okay, thanks. Got it.
James Golden, Snerdley with you here. All right, let me just, with the remaining moments I have before we have to break again, I have been thinking about this, folks. Princess Diana reminded me of something earlier. There was a Washington Post story, and in this Washington Post story, they rewrite history when they're trying to explain how terrible Donald Trump is for sending in the National Guard. And they point out that George Wallace had the National Guard, and they called George Wallace a Republican. The Republican governor, George Wallace, which is an utter 100% bald-faced lie. He was stone-cold Democrat like the other segregationist Democrats. But, of course, you all remember, those of you old enough, the footage of Governor Wallace standing out the schoolhouse door, putting his middle finger up to an American president and to the American law, saying segregation now, segregation forever. Well, that is exactly what Jerry Brown, that is exactly what Karen Bass, that is exactly what the Democrat Party is saying to America now. Illegal immigration now, illegal immigration forever. We ain't gonna stop it. We don't care about your law. illegal immigration now and forever as a way of life. Because, my friends, this entire episode in Los Angeles is about one thing. The Democrats insist that they are what the old Southerners were. The Confederate Southerners are a nation to themselves. They don't care about federal law. They don't care about the Union. They don't care that the United States of America has a system of law that declares, quote unquote, supremacy, federal supremacy. You don't get to declare and write your own laws, especially when it comes to immigration. But they don't care. They're going to do it anyway. This is James Golden, Snerdley, fastest hour in American media. Don't go away. We're just getting started.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
You sorry sucking that think that you're just gonna go and arrest a bunch of protesters because they're out there doing something you're too afraid to do. They're out there fighting for our freedom, and they're out there fighting for our right for free speech, because you, all 2,000 of you National Guardsmen, you brave-ass soldiers, you think you're gonna march in those streets and tell those people to shut the up? That is what you decided to fight for. You chose to defend us against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and you failed. And that's why they're out there on those streets. So who the are you to tell them to shut the up? Why don't you grow a pair, take off your mask, and tell me your name? Because my name is Alex, and I say you.
Yeah. Yeah, my friends, those are voices from the left. We have a few voices from the left. Indeed. Let me give you another voice from the left. You heard that one, just ranting and raving about how awful the National Guard is. Basically, this little nosed ring girl calling out the National Guard as being somehow the enemy of the people. 16. Go ahead. This is a guy that was stomping on an American flag.
Wherever you're at, we all have a common enemy. It is the same one. Everywhere you go, when you go down the street, there's the enemy. There's the enemy that works for the other enemy, who they all work under. So we all share the same common enemy. Everybody has the same enemy. From LA to Africa to Palestine to Vietnam. We all have the same enemy. That's one enemy. And it is not me. And it is not you. And it is not them. We are not the enemies of each other. They are the enemy. There is only one enemy, and we all have to work together in unison to fight this one enemy.
That's right. Capitalism,
the faster we learn that, the more we can grow as a people, and the quicker we can get to this revolution and overturn this motherfucker and have real
language. I hope you beat that. That was supposed to be stripped out. Yes. Anyway, he wants to overturn this mother. And if you heard in the background, the Zionist, the capitalist, blah, blah, this is who's out in the streets of L.A. and what they're doing. Okay? This is who they are. Now, you also have the Congress people like Maxine Waters, Auntie Maxie, on the other part of the same spectrum of what is happening in Los Angeles. Let us catch up with Maxine Waters sitting down in a car, a luxury car. It's Maxine discussing what's going on in L.A. and calling for the protest to continue. That would be cut 6.
I came down here to the detention center to see if I can find out what is happening with David Huerta. He is one of our leaders in organized labor, head of a local SEIU union. I don't know why they picked him up. I don't know what they're going to do to him. I don't want them to deport him. I think that he is being targeted, but our city is being targeted because we're a sanctuary city. Trump hates us. He does not like this city. He's trying to intimidate, and he sent the guns in here on us. The governor didn't know anything about the National Guard coming here. He did it on his own. We can't be intimidated. We've got to get the people out. We've got to get the elected officials out. We've got to resist him. I'm going back out into the communities where ICE was last night to make sure people know that their elected officials are standing with them. Thank you.
What's your next step now?
I'm going out to Lenox and to Paramount, Watts, and South Central where they were last night to see if ICE is back out there.
How about a message for the community?
The community is don't be intimidated. Don't be afraid. Do what we did in the civil rights movement. Protest peacefully. Get out. Make your voices heard. The more people we're able to engage, the more we can push back on them. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, she's not the only congresswoman out there. You have Pramila Jayapal. It's cut 8. And here's Jayapal from Washington State. Listen to this one.
We are here to say free the immigrants that have been arrested.
Free the immigrants that have been arrested.
We are here to say end the ICE raids.
End the ICE raids.
All right. That's just the beginning of it, folks. Now, Maxine Waters and a lot of the Democrats are upset with the arrest of David Huerta, president of the Service Employees International Union, California, which sends a lot of money and fills Democrat coffers with a lot of money from the working people of his union. He's been held at the Metropolitan Detention Center. That's one of the reasons they sent that mob of thugs over there outside. He was among the mob that tried to block ICE from doing their job. He was also injured. They took him to the hospital before they brought him back to jail. According to a criminal complaint, they had search warrants for 4 business premises suspected of unlawfully employing illegal aliens, falsifying employment records, all of that related to the status of their employees. And so ICE conducted a raid, legal raid. The protesters showed up. They've been mobilizing. They have a whole network of mobilization, which is amazing. In fact, they went to some of these protesters, discovered, and it was put on Reddit, where some of the agents were staying up in Pasadena, and they went up and protested that and tried to have those agents thrown out of there. These people are intimidated. You want to know why they wear masks? Because of these hood rats, because of the Antifa terrorists, and because of some of these others that are out now trying to tear down L.A. Who is safe around them? They're throwing every kind of object you can imagine on the police, and you don't think they're doxing ICE agents? They're following them around. They're trying to intimidate them. This is a war against a criminal element that believes they are righteous in their defiance against the laws of the United States of America. Now, according to the complaint, Huerta arrived at the scene to try to block ICE agents. They appear to be communicating, Huerta and other of these people that were out there to try to impede the work of ICE. One agent reported Huerta was yelling and taunting officers. Then he sat in front of a vehicle gate. He at various times stood up, paced in front of the gate, preventing law enforcement vehicles from entering or exiting the premises, and to execute their search warrant. The agents said and told Huerta that they told him, "You're being uncooperative, and you are going to have to stop this." He didn't stop. So, because he was being uncooperative, one officer put his hand on Huerta in an attempt to move him out of the way, and then Huerta pushes the guy back. And he was consequently arrested, as he should be. And now you have Democrats from all over the country whining and moaning because one of their money bags donors has been taken into custody as he should have been. Folks, the Democrat Party hasn't changed. They haven't changed from the time that they thought black people were their property and they could just use the efforts and the labor of black people to fund their own power base, this time in the agricultural South. Well, it's changed now. Now the Democrat Party sees illegal immigrants as their new money base. Through the use of illegal immigrants, they're able to obtain all kind of funds from the American taxpayer to support them. You heard Karen Bass, and you will hear Karen Bass talking about how Angelenos this, Angelenos that. We're a city of immigrants. There are almost, reportedly, 1 million illegal immigrants, 1 million living in Los Angeles. 1/10 of the population of Los Angeles is estimated to be there illegally in the United States of America. There is an economic component to this. These billions of dollars that flow through non-governmental agencies that taxpayers pay for, that flow through things like Medicaid payments that you make. All of this money that flows through, Democrats have their greedy hands in every step of the infrastructure that has been set up. And also, they derive congressional power. 1/10 of the population of Los Angeles does not belong in Los Angeles. How do you think they hold on to so many congressional seats? Because congressional seats are decided by population. You heard we played a few weeks ago a New York congresswoman from Brooklyn saying, hey, send me all the immigrants you can. I need it for redistricting. This is about the money, which is why they have never wanted to solve the problem of illegal immigration. The Democrat Party are using illegal immigrants the same way that they used black people in America. It's just a different scheme, but it's the same design. They are a force of economic power. They are a force of political power. And sanctuary states and sanctuary cities are the new Confederate states in America. They are the new Confederacy, which is why you're seeing this reaction. They don't care that the United States had the most awful war in our history. Over 600,000 Americans died in this confrontation that was set up between the slaver Democrats and the Free Union. That equivalent today would be 3 million Americans died if you looked at it in terms of today's population. Why are Democrats on this hill to defend what is inarguably against the law? Because their political power as a party depends on them keeping illegal immigrants digitally enslaved. Well, they don't have to put them on a plantation anymore. All they got to do is make sure that they stay in the city and they can have that money flowing into L.A., that money flowing into Boston, that money flowing into Colorado, that they can have these populations maintained there so that they can keep getting elected, so they can have their union buddies sending them millions of dollars, supposedly representing the oppressed. This is egregious, and it is finally time, and we have lived long enough to see a president that has the gonads to actually take him on, because every other Republican president up till now was too damn afraid to take this on, something that is clearly illegal, something that has been going on in this country for decades. You heard the police chief, if you heard this, we've been doing it this way for 40 years. That's right. For 40 years, they have been running an illegal scam on America, and right now, the scam's over, and they're having a cow. James Golden, Snerdley. We're coming back. We have more.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Again, outside the Metropolitan Detention Center. I was talking about the spray painting. You can see some of this. This entire block appears to be tagged. But take a look at these officers. These are soldiers, rather. You can see there's about maybe 25 of them standing here in quite a display of a show of force. And each of these soldiers, if Mike, you can zoom in a little bit, they're each carrying a long stick and a rifle. Each one of them is carrying a rifle. It appears to be a lethal rifle. We don't know what the status of those weapons are, but they certainly are here with their uniforms on and an incredible show of force. Armored vehicles also positioned outside of the Metropolitan Detention Center.
Yeah, well, guess what, baby? Reports are now that President Trump is mobilizing 700 active duty Marines to head to L.A. and deal with this nonsense. Let me just say this in the remaining moments we have left. There was one other Republican that has had the intestinal fortitude that Donald Trump has in dealing with the left and this Confederate insurgency that they call sanctuary, which is to normalize illegality and to ignore the federal government, despite what the Constitution says and despite what their oath of office say. And we have not seen a Republican take on the Confederacy since Abraham Lincoln. And that wasn't pretty either. Historians write about it, and those people that really, they don't talk about it much in all the glory movies about it, but it was contentious, folks. He had these leftist judges. You know what he did with the leftist judges? Threw some of them in jail when they were interfering with him winning the war. He suspended habeas corpus. These things are huge. And he had the same kind of reaction, I believe, that we're seeing today. He had a strong determination to keep this union together. And he took action when other politicians were afraid to take action against a reluctant Congress, too, and made them do the right thing. Many of them didn't want to, afraid of public opinion. Folks, these are extraordinary times. This is an over 40-year wrong in America that has to be corrected. These Confederate leftist states, these rebel states who believe that they are bigger than the Union, that their ideology of liberalism trumps everything else, are getting trumped themselves. That's what's happening here. We'll be watching to see if the Los Angeles riot show continues tonight. Leave you with some Sly. May God bless you. Protect each and every single one of you, your family, your loved ones. Love and gratitude always for your being here with me, allowing me to be with you. God willing, back tomorrow for the Tuesday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. Until then, my friends, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. You can hear Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour weekdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?